Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Tuesday, April 4, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. ExxonMobil must justify US $240 million as government reviewing cost oil claims, says VP. Consultations on local content laws get underway with inaugural summit. Government strengthening capacity to clamp down on housing fraud, squatting. Manslaughter charge recommended for daycare owner in death of baby, and woman wanted for causing death by dangerous driving surrenders to police. Now for the news in detail. The Guyana government is carefully reviewing all contested cost oil claims made by ExxonMobil, which were flagged by IHS Markit in its audit of pre-contract costs. And according to Vice President Bara Jagdeo, such costs will not be allowed if the oil giant cannot justify them. Here is Gerald Bryan with our lead story tonight.
In 2019, IHS Markit did an audit of ExxonMobil's cost oil expenses racked up between 1999 and 2017. As much as US $214.4 million ended up being disputed as IHS Markit flagged these cost oil claims. Vice President Dr. Bara Jagdeo, on the sidelines of an event on Tuesday, was adamant that these expenses are being carefully reviewed. Jagdeo said that the report is with the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, and if these expenses cannot be justified, they will not be approved.
It has to go through a procedure. So if the audit finding and the preliminary finding you have, they contest the cost, they point this out. You have to get the company to respond. So you have to send it over, the company respond. They're then required to submit additional documentation. If they can't submit additional documentation, then the cost is disallowed. So it goes back, it comes out of the cost bank and go towards profit oil. So a greater share of the adjustments would have to be made to profit oil.
Meanwhile, Jagdeo has reaffirmed that the government has nothing to hide when it comes to the cost oil audits.
That report has been with the staff of the ministry and with the GRA and all their technical people for the last several years. It's not, nobody is hiding the report. In fact, we tried to localize that, so that was the first audit that was done by IHS Markit. We delayed the second audit because we wanted local people to participate in the audit. We worked to put together a consortium of 4 Guyanese companies and then recruited along. They had to put in a bid with a foreign company to do the second set of audits, because we wanted local content in the audit. It's not a cover-up, but it becomes a headline that sometimes is very misleading.
ExxonMobil's pre-contract costs were inherited by the current government when it entered office in 2020. US $460 million in pre-contract costs were already written into the 2016 production sharing agreement. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
The first ever local content summit in Guyana got underway today, with the People's Progressive Party civic government also using the occasion to begin consultations on revamping the local content laws. Here is Gerald Bryan again with the details.
The Local Content Summit is being hosted by MBW Energy Support Services Inc. and brought together local businesses looking to benefit from the oil and gas sector. Vice President Bara Jagdeo, who was the keynote speaker, explained why the government is supporting the event. He said that it was not only an opportunity to support the enterprise and minds behind the event, but also a launching pad for planned consultations on local content reform.
We thought that the summit is sufficiently narrowly focused that it could allow us to bring great value in the discussions to the people of this country. And it could also kickstart the review that we ourselves in government plan to amend the local content legislation as promised in the past. So today we're here to clarify from the government's perspective as we discuss policies and the certification program and the legislation that was passed.
According to Jagdeo, coming up with the amendments for the Local Content Act requires a joint effort between government and stakeholders.
In the Local Content Act, we had to go through an iterative process to craft a piece of legislation that is appropriate for Guyana. It was a careful balancing act, and we would once again have to pursue the same balancing as we move to update and reform and change the current legislation. So today we're not going to be giving you a definitive position. None of the government speakers will say, this is what we will change in the new law. We're here to listen. And this is just the beginning of a process of discussions with the private sector, with the labor movement, with Guyanese business, with the first-tier contractors and the oil companies as we move forward.
The summit will see panel discussions between government, industry leaders, and economists. Those panel discussions will include capacity building, success stories, and navigating the local content environment. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Some 1,500 persons were today assigned house lots as the Housing Ministry and the Central Housing and Planning Authority hosted its first Dream Realized Housing Drive of the year. Luanda McAllister tells us more.
The first Dream Realized event for 2023 was hosted on Tuesday at the Arthur Chang Conference Center and saw lottees being assigned low, moderate income and some medium and high income house lots in Godob and Lusignan on the east coast of Demerara.
This is part of the total target that we have for 2023. That is to ensure that we are able to meet our 10,000 annual.
Housing Minister Colin Crowell addressing the beneficiaries. He added that the ministry is on track to deliver on its promise of allocating 50,000 house lots by 2025. This housing drive has brought the number to 22,500 thus far.
Where these lots are going are close to a new highway that is being run from Arbibarka to Enmore. So your lots will be in close proximity to that new highway. So already, when you collect your lots today, the minute you collect that allocation letter, your lot will quadruple in value immediately.
The lots range in cost from $150,000 to $2.6 million. Meanwhile, Minister within the Housing and Water Ministry, Susan Rodriguez, highlighted the diversity and equal opportunity given to all allottees to achieve financial freedom.
Look around here and to look at the faces looking back at me, and you'll see the faces of Guyanese. Guyanese from all walks of life, all income categories, all races, all religions, different political affiliations, and that is what our housing program is about. Everybody can see Guyanese people, not one ethnicity or not from one sector of our country, but Guyanese people receiving their house lots and given the opportunity to transform their lives, to develop their own lives. But more importantly, what you're receiving today is far more than a house lot. You are receiving empowerment. You are being given the opportunity to have financial freedom, to own your own home, to become a homeowner, which gives you access to finance, gives you unlimited power. You now have that opportunity in your hands to make the most of it.
Luanda McAllister for the Evening News.
Luanda McAllister joins us again to report that the government is strengthening its capacity to clamp down on instances of fraud and squatting in the housing sector. Here is more.
We want to make it very clear. It is only at the ministry, that's Breakdown, the regional offices, or when we have special exercises like today, Dream Realize, where payments are done, or location for payments. Anywhere else you're making a payment can't be to the Central Housing and Planning Authority.
Housing Minister Colin Crowell speaking on the issue of fraud in the sector. He also urged residents and other citizens to play their role in ensuring persons engaged in these activities are held accountable by submitting formal police statements. He also highlighted efforts being taken to address this issue on the ministerial level.
We've strengthened our investigative arm as well as our enforcement arm. So in our employment now is one former, somebody with experience, but one former senior person from the hierarchy of the police force, for which we've been undertaking a number of investigations to go after.
Crowell also called attention to the growing issue of squatters on unmarked lands and relayed that action will be taken against them as well.
We must recognize and repeat that squatting is illegal. Taking occupancy of somebody's land is illegal. But yes, you have a loving and caring president and government. So we have been working with many of those areas to help them, where we evaluate whether it's an area that we can regularize, because many of these exist as probably as old as myself, some of the persons who live there. Or if we have to relocate, then we indicate such.
Lawanda McAllister, The Evening News.
Coming up, manslaughter charge recommended for daycare owner in death of baby, and final 2 ERC members sworn in. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Thousands of persons in hinterland communities are now receiving 24-hour access to treated water for the first time. They are enjoying the benefits of new wells and water supply systems in their communities. Having better quality water for everyday use translates to an improved quality of life. It is projects like these that Ghana's oil revenues are supporting, with over $120 billion withdrawn from the Natural Resource Fund to improve the lives of Guyanese.
Virtual Keno. It's a game of numbers. Choose your lucky numbers and win up to 10,000 times your stake. Visit www.superbet.gy to place your bets. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly. Superbet, your best bet.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. The Director of Public Prosecutions has recommended that the owner of the daycare that was responsible for the death of 7-month-old Oriah Gravesandi be charged with manslaughter. This was confirmed by Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, who noted that the file with the advice was received on Monday. The owner, Denise Ben, is expected to make soon her first court appearance in relation to the crime. On March 21, the child died at the Ogle East Coast Demerara facility, which authorities have since confirmed was uncertified for years and ought not to have been in operation. An autopsy has since revealed that the infant died from hemorrhage and compression to the neck. It was reported that the child had fallen off a bed and was trapped in some sheets. It is suspected that this led to her demise. A joint investigation into the matter was being conducted by the police along with the Child Care and Protection Agency and the Human Services and Social Security Ministry. Meanwhile, operations at the daycare came to a halt following the unfortunate incident. 3 days after police issued a wanted bulletin for Melissa Manila, the woman has turned herself in to police in Berbice. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael reports that the woman was wanted for the death of her friend following an accident that occurred since February.
On Friday, police issued a wanted bulletin for Melissa Manila for causing death by dangerous driving. On Monday afternoon, in the company of her lawyer Joel Edmond, she turned herself over to the police at Fort Wellington. After seeing the bulletin issued, the 36-year-old woman contacted her attorney on Monday and asked him to take her in after giving a statement. Edmonds told this newscast that he also met with a senior officer from the traffic department who gave certain directions to the police. She's claiming that the police did not contact her after the accident. But one of the officers just telling me that they checked for her in Bath Settlement at some known address, and they checked at Good Hope. But I don't think that's the address my client gave to me. So apparently they were probably checking at some other place other than her home. Because she was at home, she was at Woodlands Hospital. She spent a few days or a couple of weeks in there, and then she came out of that hospital and she's doing home care right now. She's not able to walk by herself. She's assisted by someone.
The accident occurred on February 7th at number 29 Village, West Coast, Berbice in Region 5, as Manila was driving from Good Hope, East Coast, Demerara, heading to Bath Settlement. 3 persons who were occupants of Manila's vehicle were injured when the car crashed into a concrete fence and then into another car before coming to a halt. One of the 3 injured persons subsequently died.
We was driving from Good Hope. I was driving to Good Hope for come up Berbice at Bath Settlement. When I reached at number 29, the steering, we call it, gave up in me. And I started to sway. And trying to mash brakes, no brakes. And then I turned and into the fence. And after that, I didn't know anything.
She contacted me about a couple days ago, and I invited her down to my office. So we just came from my office, and I'm turning her into the police right now. I've just spoken with the traffic officer for Region 5, and he has given certain directions to the police.
Police say while they never met Manila in person, they had left messages for her and were previously told that she was going to make contact with the police. They also say relatives of the victim had not been very helpful. For the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
President Dr. Irfan Ali today administered the oath of office to the 2 remaining members of the 10-member Ethnic Relations Commission at State House. Find out more in this Rupasina report.
The 2 remaining members of the Ethnic Relations Commission who took their oaths and received their instruments of appointment on Tuesday were Charles Joseph Ogle and Reverend Rodwell Alfonso Porter. On March 21st, 8 members of the commission were sworn in at the office of the President on Shiv Chandrapal Drive. Members sworn in were Pandit Krishna Dio Sharma, Sheikh Moin ul Haq, Dion Dick, Niaz Suban, Norris Emmanuel Witter, Chandrawati Saran, Ashton Simon, and Dwayne Adams. The ERC is a non-political body established to promote ethnic harmony and security in Guyana. Under Article 212D of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the ERC has 24 functions, one of which is a mandate to investigate complaints from citizens across the country where acts of alleged ethnic discrimination have been committed. Also, the Commission is mandated to enforce the Racial Hostility Act and the Representation of the People Amendment Act. In Budget 2023, the Ethnic Relations Commission as a constitutional agency was allocated $137.3 million to execute its duties. Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
Chief Investment Officer and Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Office for Investment, GOInvest, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, has debunked claims being made by Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain that his office is responsible for the quashing of a major investment project in Georgetown. Here are the details.
In a statement posted to social media on March 30th, Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain claimed that head of GOInvest, Dr. Peter Ramsarup, being aware of the Stabroek Market redevelopment project, had signed a memorandum of understanding with one of the private investors who was part of the initiative. Narain claimed that after the final documents were taken to cabinet, the plan was rejected. His statement reads, and I quote, "I engaged Dr. Peter Ramsarup as head of GOInvest, who was fully aware of the said project, and went ahead and signed a memorandum of understanding with one of the private investors who were a part of this project. However, when the entire project and the documents reached his political masters at cabinet, they rejected and killed the plan. As such, nothing could be done by the MNCC to improve conditions for the vendors and patrons of the Stabroek Market." End quote. Dr. Ramsarup has, however, denied these claims, noting that GOInvest never received a proposal from the Georgetown Mayor and City Council regarding the redevelopment of the Stabroek market area. Nevertheless, he said an MOU was in 2020 signed with a private investor who was interested in establishing a hotel in the vicinity of the Stabroek market.
A private investor in the city did submit a proposal for a hotel within the city that they would have private land for. So we give them an MOU for that particular hotel, which was never built. In addition, they wanted other lands around the area, which is not government land per se. I mean, vendors are on those lands. So the MOU expired in 6 months. The investor did not come back with a final proposal for the hotel. So, but the mayor, I don't think, is alluding to the fact that the city, basically on his comments today, submitted a proposal to government through the Guyana Office for Investment, and that Cabinet disapproved it. Cabinet never got a proposal from me. There was no such proposal. Our office, again, never signed an MOU with the city. We have never had discussions officially with the city on any projects that they would control. We deal with more private investors. Georgetown has been run, I should say, by the PNC for decades. You know, there has not been any significant improvement within the city, and to blame a government agency now after you are in power for all these decades as the city mayor and the city council, I think the mayor has diminished even more his not so good reign as the mayor of Georgetown.
The Stabroek Market redevelopment project, which was proposed by Narain, pointed to the enhancement and modernization of the Stabroek Market area. The project had envisioned the removal of vendors from the streets into better facilities so as to ensure improved standards. In addition, the project proposed adequate seating arrangements for citizens awaiting public transportation, as there was expected to be a terminal for buses and a car park for vehicles from all districts.
Students attending 2 quarantine schools and who are preparing to sit the Agriculture Science Caribbean Secondary Education Council CSEC examination in 2024 are now in a better position to have their school-based assessments completed following a donation of baby broiler chicks by Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael tells us more.
On Saturday, the Winifred Gaskin Secondary and Manchester Secondary Schools in Region 6 each received 100 broiler chickens along with feed to assist with the SBA for students preparing to write CSEC examinations. It is intended to give the students a hands-on experience in the rearing of poultry. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa said it is important to promote agriculture in schools and that his ministry will work to develop the school's agriculture department. He said with Guyana leading the charge in the region in terms of agricultural development, it is critical for more young people to get involved in the sector.
As a matter of fact, we are leading the entire region in terms of building the agriculture sector. A number of countries are now looking forward to Guyana for that kind of leadership. But first of all, we have to ensure that our people is more involved, or young people get involved, and make it more attractive. Because young people today see agriculture as a menial job, a job that for young, old people, mature people, a job for people who never went to school and things like that. We have to change that perception.
Head teacher of Manchester Secondary, Sean Leake, says the project is highly appreciated.
The young people that are writing CSEC, they are going to benefit tremendously because they, as a part of their project, to fulfill the CXC requirement, they have to do a project with chickens.
Our school, being the recipient of these 2 items, will add to our curriculum, strengthen our curriculum experiences for our learners, but that this is significant also in the sense that it's going to help us to advance the Ministry of Education's one of its target areas, and that is, I'm not certain all of you that you would have known, but that the ministry has recently launched what's called the SEP program, that is the Secondary School Enhancement Program, where learners at the grade 7 to 11, they're expected to be exposed to 5 core areas, particularly in the area of TVET.
We have been going to across the country working with various groups, but today I'm very happy that students are here, teachers are here, and we are getting it from the school. And the school are showing the kind of interest to develop the interest of young people into this important sector.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, April 5th at 4 hours 15 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbish River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, April 5th at 16 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
Guyana loses opening fixture as Under-15 Championship bowls off in Antigua, and GDF Route to Conqueror set to clash in Women's League final. Details of these stories and more in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
John Lewis Styles has opened a new department, now offering home goods. Here you can find quality sheets and towels, pillows, blankets, and even bath mats and shower curtains. Organize your laundry with clothes baskets, fabric steamers, irons, and ironing boards. For the kitchen we have small appliances, towels and mittens, pot sets and dinner sets too. Decorate the house with mirrors, picture frames, floating shelves, and decorative pillows. All these and more on Waterloo Street. It's fashion for the home. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Factory and dockyard owners, Sylvie's now has in stock the 5000 PSI North Star Heavy Duty Pressure Washer. It delivers industrial strength cleaning power and durability, blasting through the toughest caked-on mud, dirt, and debris. Great for prepping concrete surfaces, stripping paint, and removing barnacles. Shop now at sylviesonline.com or visit our 31 High and Hatfield Street store. We also deliver. Call or WhatsApp 623-7755 for more info.